I don't want to say this, but I think we got a bad deal. I think that the cost of the economy, oil revenue, not oil revenue, but oil availability, a global crisis with oil, and 9 weeks of, I think it was, of a ceasefire. And I think this deal sucks. And I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. We'll get into it in a minute, but I am also looking at things, and it looks to me like this is J.D. Vance's mess that he wanted to do, and I'll explain in a minute. And this does not make me a fan of J.D. Vance if this is accurate. First thing I want to do, though, is tell you that this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I'm sporting my awesome IRSprob.com shirt, and I'm grateful for Randy, I can tell you that. My bank account is thankful for Randy. He's an amazing tax planner. Well, this deal looks like it might, and I hope I'm wrong, but it looks like it might give Iran, along with Oman, who President Trump said we cannot trust. Of course, he also said we can't trust Iran. It looks like it actually gives Iran and Oman the actual ability to get a toll on the Strait of Hormuz. They're not going to call it a toll. They're going to call it a fee. But if this is true, this is unfreaking believable. Number two, the president made a choice to not have a great cost, not at a great cost, take over the strait. And I understand there was some push and pull on that. There's some bad side effects that could happen to that. The one thing we did do, because former President Hussein Obama was patting himself on the back, almost breaking his arm, saying how awesome his deal was and that Trump's isn't going to be any better than his. And that's false. Trump has, for now, destroyed their nuclear enrichment program, and that is massive. They don't have centrifuges that we're aware of anywhere. All their nuclear dust is buried in 3 different areas, and former President Hussein Obama never did that. So for that, I am grateful. Let me share the details and express to you and share with you why I am alarmed. This is from the Wall Street Journal. I have a ton of sources here. It's not just going to be the Wall Street Journal. For those of you who don't like the Journal, I understand. But here we go. The Wall Street Journal editorial board today. Trump stages an Iran retreat. The result is not an Obama deal 2.0 because unlike in 2015, Iran's key nuclear facilities are in rubble and enrichment of uranium has been halted for the first time in 20 years, which is very good. Trump didn't want to endure high oil prices for longer. It's his choice. Tehran says it will charge fees, not tolls. That's in the Journal. Now, is Tehran lying? I don't know. But continuing on, they say that Trump says some of the deal is a little conceptual. It would defer most matters of the nuclear program for 60 or more days of talks. What do you think is going to take place after we have stopped blocking the Strait of Hormuz? And war is ceased, obviously, for now. And over the next 60 days, how likely are we going to want to go back to at war if we get a crappy deal? So this sucks. Now, we are negotiating from a position of strength with the blockade there if we want to re-blockade, but I'm not happy. Continuing on, if the regime won't agree to dismantle its nuclear program now, why would it also do so after weeks of oil exports and other relief? The Journal says, a strong nuclear deal is not hard to define. 0 enriched uranium and no plutonium reprocessing, no stockpile of enriched uranium. They cannot enrich their own uranium ever, because when they do, and when they're allowed to under Hussein Obama, they don't enrich to 3.67% enriched uranium. They go to 80 to make it weapons grade. They can never, ever be trusted to make their own, enrich their own uranium, ever. 13 countries in the world, I believe, produce their own, or enrich their own uranium, and the rest of them import it. That's what they should do from this point forward. If we don't get that, that really is bad. The deal also includes no Iranian commitments on its missiles and terror proxies. They say it's left to regional discussions. Dude, as of right now, Hezbollah Hamas and the Houthis are still running strong with Iran paying them money and training them and operating them and providing them with the high-tech missiles and drones and everything. If that doesn't end, then that's ridiculous. And we're going to get to Israel in just a few minutes because they're super pissed, and I would be too, and they have a right to be super pissed. By the way, Hegseth and Rubio are not selling this deal because they reportedly do not like this deal, which is why they ain't saying nothing. J.D. Vance likes the deal and is reportedly possibly one of the people that really pushed this through as far as getting Trump's support and kind of owning it now. And then you also have Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff also supported this. Iran's new leaders are likely to conclude that Trump has no desire for more conflict, and they will negotiate accordingly, says the Journal, and I would agree. Iran and Oman both now are publicly saying they will administer a fee at the Strait, and there will be a service fee. My buddy Eric Erickson writes. Also from Jerry Baker, separately in the Wall Street Journal, he says there are limits to what we can achieve militarily at a reasonable cost. And that was the decision here for the calculus. Reasonable limits at what cost? And so that's where the president has decided to stop right now because of that. And I'm going to get to the gas and the oil stuff because it's really, really, really bad as far as like where we're at globally. And we are not out of the woods for some real bad stuff going down before everything goes back to normal. I'll tell you about that in a minute. The CIA director, John Ratcliffe, told President Trump, this is an Axios, that evidence gathered by U.S. intelligence agency raises serious doubts about Iran's willingness to make nuclear concessions. Our own CIA says that what they understand about what Iran is talking about behind the scenes, our intelligence people says, is not what Iran is saying publicly. In other words, they're lying to us publicly like they always do, and behind the scenes, they're still looking at their nuclear stuff and going, we're going to do our nuclear stuff. That's what Ratcliffe told President Trump. Also, during the meetings, Trump and his team discussed intel gathered by several intelligence agencies that showed that the way Iranian officials were discussing the deal, I mentioned this, amongst themselves was inconsistent with what they're saying publicly. That's from Axios. Now, from the Wall Street Journal, oil executives are sounding the alarm over dwindling stockpiles, and this can go to a real global problem. Energy executives say without influx of more oil, prices will have to surge to stop the run on supplies. Chief executive at Chevron warns that the supply crunch will soon manifest itself around the world. Number 2 at ExxonMobil has said the U.S. is approaching unheard of inventory levels. Other executives are saying it's going to get ugly. The world has never had to destroy 10 million barrels. Excuse me, let me repeat this. The energy executive says the world has never had to destroy 10 million barrels a day of oil demand. In other words, we've never had to kill 10 million barrels of oil a day. We've never had to stop demanding 10 million. In other words, the flow has been so woefully short, 10 million barrels a day for, 3-4 months now? That's a major catastrophe. That was another reason for Trump's calculus. But if he didn't do the ceasefire for like 9 weeks, maybe we could have finished the job. And that's what I argue he should have been doing. I've been saying that for weeks and weeks and weeks. Finish the frickin' job is what I've been saying. Here we go. From a couple other sources, CNN, NBC, and AP. The agreement announced by the two sides Sunday night leaves a narrow window of 60 days to negotiate issues around Iran's nuclear program. It possibly detailed the gap raised in the time frame, 60 days, possibility in there is details on the text remain unresolved and the signing could be derailed. So we could have a problem in 45 days, 50 days where it's like there's no freaking deal and it's nothing we want to say publicly that we agree to. Israel is super pissed about this, and I agree with them, and I'm super pissed about Israel's position. I agree with them 100%. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, said the U.S. was on the hook to end Israel's attack and aggression on Lebanon. So Iran was telling us, you have to end Iran's aggression in Lebanon with Hezbollah. But the problem is, Iran was responding to Hezbollah bombing the crap out of the people that live in northern Israel. They don't want the people to live in Israel. Something I didn't even think about. Besides wanting to wipe out every Jew in Israel, to wipe Israel off the map, which is what they want to do from the river to the sea, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. But another tactic I didn't fully realize is by all this terrorism, all these attacks, they also want to drive the Jews out of Israel. They want to make Jews less safe, to feel that they have to leave, so they flee their home country. The people of Israel are not only living in this, the greatest democracy, the only democracy in the Middle East, but they are also realizing that they are always at risk for terrorism and missiles and being destroyed and killed. And that it would be a lot better if they left, but that state could go down if enough of them left. Quite a state to live in. You know what I mean? A place to live in, if you will, mentally and physically. The IDF and Mossad back sanctions over a new Iran deal. They don't like it. Where is the deal for ballistic missile program for Iran when they lied to us and said their missiles only go 1,000 kilometers, and in fact they're like 2,000 kilometers, way more than they publicly disclosed. So the ballistic missile program has not been ended. How about the support for Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis? That is not part of this deal. That's insane. That is insane. That's how they attack from all these areas and then deny that it's them when we all know it's them. So J.D. Vance, I just wrote this here. Is it his mess? Is this his mess? Because there's a lot of hintings here that he wanted to do this. And then here's another thing. Vance warns Trump would resume bombing if Iran regime breaks deal obligations. And I really question that. Will Trump resume bombing if Iran breaks its deal obligations? With everything I shared with you? I don't think so. Coming up next, Austin Metcalf's dad rips the crap out of Frisco ISD and its now retired superintendent. I'll tell you what he said in just a moment. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy has been my CPA for almost 10 years now. We're almost at 10 years. There's Randy, me, Ray Bond, and George, all four of us hanging out. That literally is about 10 years ago. The band. We're bringing the band back together. And then here's Randy speaking at his alma mater, UT Austin, the best accountancy school in the state, which is, of course, where he got his CPA from, where he graduated from. Go to IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com. Or call 214-214-3000 if you want a tax planner, or if you have somebody who had a death in the family and there's tax issues, or you have issues yourself. Call 214-214-3000 and tell them Chris Crock sent you. Guess who I have to call to come to my house? My plumber. Guess who my plumber is? And foundation company. You don't ever want a separate plumbing company from a separate foundation company, because they will blame each other when stuff goes down, and it does go down, and it goes bad. They blame each other. Don't put yourself in that situation and use my plumber and my foundation guy. It is Due West, du-west.com. That's du-west.com. And I'll tell you what, Jim and I talked. He's going to come on the show sometime this week. I'll talk about home improvement stuff. And if you have a question for home improvement stuff, DM me or put up on this post and ask a question. I will ask Jim, and we'll get your questions answered for you when he comes on a little bit later this week. But your water heater. At the top of your water heater, there's this teeny little spring valve thing, and that is to let if it makes it so the water heater doesn't blow up if the pressure and the heat, whatever. I don't know how it works, but it gets too much. Guess what? When it's getting too much, that holds it in, that little spring valve. My spring valve needs to be replaced, Jim says, because I have a little tube, a little pipe outside, just goes bloop out on the side of my foundation, and it's dripping. And so that's my indicator that, in fact, I need to get that replaced. So I'm going to be calling Due West over there. Jim Dutton is the owner of Due West Foundation and Plumbing, and he also hosts Texas Home Improvement in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Austin on the radio and television. And my foundation work, everything that's been done in this house, foundation and plumbing, is all Jim for over 11 years. My wife worked at Due West for 3 years. So if you want the best, call Due West. They do concrete leveling. They do retention walls, plumbing, foundation, you name it. Call 972-406-0912. That's 972-406-0912. Or go to du-west.com. That's du-west.com, and tell them Chris Crock sent you. Austin Metcalf's dad ripped the crap, and there's no video on this, but as Fox News Digital interviewed him, he ripped the crap out of the Frisco, now retired Frisco ISD superintendent, Mike Waldrop. But listen to this. I'm gonna vigorously disagree with something that Austin Metcalf's dad, Jeff Metcalf, said. Now, he attacked former superintendent of Frisco ISD, Mike Waldrop, because he said it was disgusting what he did. Former Superintendent Mike Waldrop, he said, folded like a cheap tent under pressure. He's talking about Carmelo Anthony when he murdered Austin Metcalf. Even before he was convicted, he was charged with murder, was allowed to graduate and get his degree. And he says the policy in Frisco ISD is very clear. If you are charged with something like murder, you cannot graduate. You don't get to participate like everybody else. Now, they said, well, we kept it from coming to the school, but they did not have to give him a degree. They could have made him go get a GED, which is exactly what they should have done. They were afraid. They worried about the race hustlers and the bottom dwellers, and so they caved, he says, and he's right. In an interview, he said, the most spineless, coward piece of expletive I've ever met in my entire life is former Frisco Superintendent Mike Waldrop. He says he shouldn't have been allowed, Carmelo shouldn't have been allowed to graduate based on attendance. As he said, the killer never returned to school following the stabbing. He was not in attendance. TMZ reported that Jeff Metcalf argued Carmelo shouldn't have been able to graduate because the school handbook allegedly declares murder to be grounds for mandatory expulsion. You think? Would they have done this if Carmelo wasn't black? I don't think so. How much you want to bet? Jeff Metcalf also told Fox News Digital that the school system did not have strong enough security. Now, here's where I disagree with him vigorously. Jeff Metcalf said that the school did not have metal detectors that the athletes went through. They didn't have proper security. Quote, I can go on and on. They were negligent in this. I strongly disagree because metal detectors do not work. Metal detectors make the school feel like a prison, and they do not work. You can put them through a chain link fence to the other side under the bleachers and walk right in with a knife. There's so many countless ways to do it, and whether it's at a school where they can put it through a window or through a side door, you come around, you let somebody into the side door, they pass you a gun. Absolutely not. Metal detectors only make you feel like you're in a prison, and they do not work. So I strongly disagree with that. So security is irrelevant to me. Somebody getting in a knife, and yes, it was a knife that murdered Austin Metcalf, and yes, it's about 5-inch blade, but that is not. It's not reasonable to say that shouldn't have been allowed in. There's no way you can stop that. It is what it is. All right, now, I cannot wait. I have tremendous joy. I'm going to show you a real juxtaposition. And what I'm going to show you is the difference between the amazing Aussies, I think New Zealanders, Dutch, and Japanese friends in Dallas-Fort Worth and also in other parts of America where the World Cup's going on, particularly in Dallas-Fort Worth, though. How amazing these people are, how much they love our country, and how much they love our culture. And the first thing to do before I do that is I want to play a couple pieces of video from these crazed, these miserable leftist lunatics that had this counter-programming for UFC. And by the way, that UFC fight thing was awesome. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't have Paramount. I'm not going to buy it, but I watched enough of it on social media. I thought it was awesome. I thought Zach Brown's rendition of the Star Spangled Banner was awesome. I thought it was freaking awesome. And people are attacking that one UFC fighter for saying Michelle Obama is a man. Michael, hey Barack, pull over. I got to use a urinal. Michael, Mrs. Hussein Obama, excuse me. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was hysterical, and I could give a frog's fat what about the other stuff. It was great. So before we do that, though, I want to tell you that I do have a roofer, and I have a check from my insurance company I have to have sent to my mortgage to get signed, and then we'll send it to the insurance company or to my roofing company. But I am getting a whole new roof. It's going to be, I have to pick a shingle color, and but we're going to get a whole new roof. There's going to be new decking because my old roofer did not put in proper decking up to code. Now I'm going to get it. There was damage, and my insurance company, which is the best, USAA, says, yes, you need a roof. And so I'm going to Blue Ribbon Roofing right here. We got blueribbondfw.com is their website, blueribbondfw.com. And here is John Hopkins on the right, his wife Tish, and then on the left is John Hopkins' son Trevor and his wife Jenna. Jenna's the first person I talked to when I called, and they were fantastic. Here is John.
See that white line?
Yeah, what is that? This is John on my roof.
That's the fiberglass mat underneath the shingle, meaning all the shingle's gone. Now you're down to the fiberglass mat.
I never would have recognized any of this or noticed it.
Well, of course you wouldn't. It'd be like you handing me your microphone. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Do you want to do a show for me?
I don't know anything about it. I got to depend on you.
I think you want to. I guess I'll do the show then. There we are hanging on my roof. It's a good day when I'm up on the roof with John. So John is awesome. His work is incredible. They've already replaced some of the siding stuff that got damaged in the storm, and it looks absolutely freaking immaculate. The work is incredible. They're doing my fence, my windows, or as we say in Texas, my windows and my roof. So go to blueribbondfw.com. That's blueribbondfw.com. That's blueribbondfw.com. They are the best, 32 years plus of doing roofing in Dallas-Fort Worth, and they have roofed well over 25,000 roofs in DFW. They are the best. I'm grateful that they partnered with the Chris Crock Show and are very happy with our partnership, and I am too. All right, let's watch some fun stuff. Actually, before we watch the fun stuff, let's watch the leftist people. And what this is a difference between pride and shame. And the left wants us to despise our country, to be ashamed of it, and to hold our head low and to be disgusted with it, and there's nothing proud about it, and we're not the best country. But leave it to the Japanese, the folks from the Netherlands, folks from like Australia or Britain to come and tell us how incredible we are. First, let's start with the lunatic left. Here is their counter-programming. They had a counter-programming event. This is so classic from these idiots. They had a counter-programming event during the UFC fighting event. Once again, it was completely stupid.
Right? Later, the letter stated, regardless of our political affiliation or whether we engage in politics or not, we all love our country. So when we, not so fast. The phrase, we all love our country, stuck in my throat. Because our country isn't so lovable right now. I hate to say it, but loving our country is starting to sound like an abused spouse saying they love their abuser.
There you go. Okay, now let's go to this, what's it, Julia Roberts. This is so embarrassing.
Which is to talk about Renee Nicole Good. Yeah.
Woo, run over an ICE officer, woo!
Renee Nicole Good is not a symbol. She is an American woman, a queer woman.
Oh, a queer woman. She's not just a woman. She's a queer woman. Oh, my gosh. A queer woman? Yes, a queer woman. Wow. Okay, we'll play like a little bit more, but then you're going to have fun. We're going to see people that come to this country and love it and tell us how awesome we are.
Who is doing the very best she could do to be good in an unjust world.
No, she was not. She was being used by her lesbian lover, who I don't even think was her official wife, regardless, and was being used by a prop and controlled by her lesbian lover who got her killed. And so that's what happened there. But now let's go to, I'm going to start with these. I love our Japanese friends. You have no freaking idea how amazing. I haven't even showed this to my son yet. This is so awesome. God bless the Japanese. They are the linchpin in defeating China. We cannot defeat China. Should this go to war one day without our dear Japanese friends. And I've told you this, and if you don't know, I want to brag. My son is a fluent Japanese speaker and studied for a semester in Japan for 4 months and got engaged there with his wife, who's from here, or future wife, who's from here. But the Japanese has one test in America that you can do. It's the JLPT, Japanese Language Proficiency Test, and it's the only one the government recognizes. And it's only once a year, and it's at places like it's regional. Rice, Arkansas, my son's taken both at both universities. Every year he takes the test, and he's at level 2 out of 5 levels. 1 is the highest. So he went from 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm so freaking proud of this kid. Japanese is one of the hardest languages to learn in the entire world. There's only, I think Cantonese or Chinese is the only one that's harder. I'm not making this up. So, and he's working and he's studying hard to be N1 this fall when he takes his test, and he will do it because he works hard. So on with the awesome people who love us and we love them. Look at these. I love these Japanese folk. Well, first of all, look, you've heard what they did. They've been picking up trash. Look at that. That's how they left their locker room. Everything was folded up perfectly. God bless the Japanese. Here's the Japanese going through AT&T Stadium, Jerry Road, whatever we're supposed to call it, and they're picking up trash with smiles. God bless these beautiful people.
It's the culture, but it's like respect for everything, respect for the players, supporters, And also for the stadium, we're
Wait a minute, you're not socialist Marxists who hate this country and tear down statues and vandalize?
kind of honored to be here, so we don't want to make the mess and then leave it. So I think that's the reason why we're doing it.
God bless the Japanese. And then here's my favorite one. These kids are freaking awesome. Watch these kids and try to speak, in English well and talk about what they love about Texas and what they're eating.
Steak, hamburger, and Caesar salad. So good.
Caesar salad. I love this. I can't wait to play this with my son.
Caesar salad. So good.
Teddy Brock's barbecue.
How was it?
Oh, very nice.
A steak, and that Mexican?
Mexican.
Yes.
Mexico. My son lived with his host family in Japan for 4 months. The host father would have a beer with my son every night. Sapporo, I think it is. That's the Japanese beers. I can't remember. And sit down with him and hang out in the basement. His dad was this host father is military. And the host mother was amazing. These little kids, beautiful little kids, like 12, 8, and 6 or 4. And they loved him, and he loved them. And he would watch them for the family sometimes. They'd play video games. They took him out for his freaking birthday at an amazing place. And they cried when they said goodbye to him. They made a photo album for him. And it's so touching to me how you can go on the opposite side of the planet, and there are beautiful people who love your son. And I love our Japanese friends. I will always have a strong affinity. My son could end up moving there for his career in the near future. But I love these people. God bless them.
Eat? Yeah. Steak. Of course, steak. Texas barbecue.
I did beer and barbecue. Yeah, that very delicious. Expecting the lot of big food like barbecues with burgers. So the all things in Texas. So I'm so happy to eat everything. Yeah.
We love you guys. I love those guys. God bless them. And then let's hear from, I think this chick's from Britain or Australia. I don't know. There's 2 people, and these people just come here and they love it. They love what we're doing. They love us, unlike the left.
I was well and truly born in the wrong country. I'm a British girl, and I have been to around 27 different countries in my whole life. I've been to the Caribbean, I've been to St. Lucia, I've been to Barbados, I've been to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Bali, places in Europe. I've been all over the world, basically. And nothing comes close to the USA. You can get every single landscape, every single climate, you can get everything in the US. The people, the food, the landscapes, the cars, the trucks.
We are the greatest country in the world. Don't ever let anybody tell you anything differently. Here's another guy. This guy, he might be from Australia. I don't know where this dude's from, but he's loving our country too.
These neighborhoods look exactly the same as every movie you've ever seen. The American flags, people have got race flags up. This old couple just walked past me and they go, "Good morning." I was like, what the hell? Did you guys talk to each other here?
This is a high school stadium. What? Look at the amount of seats in this place. Do they actually fill these stadiums? Do people actually come for the games and actually fill these out? Because that's honestly mental. That is crazy. There is a ton of seats in here. If this was England, it would literally be on a little park field with dog shit everywhere.
Guys, I'm not fucking you right now.
All right, there you go. Anyways, fun times. God bless the USA. And by the way, a little more sports stuff. The Plano Stars, not the Dallas Stars, are planning to control hotel land around the Plano Arena. Their future Plano Arena, says WFA TV Channel 8. And meanwhile, Karen Beiser Tolbert, the city manager, and what's his name, Mayor Johnson, are trying to negotiate, and they think they still have a chance of getting the Stars back. And then trial date set for former Uvalde ISD police chief Pete Arredondo. He absolutely is criminally liable for those children. He was one of the first people. He and this other guy were the first 2 there, and he went to and got. He's the chief. of Uvalde ISD police, and he went 2-3 months earlier, roughly, before the horrific terrorist attack on Robb Elementary School. He went to a school shooting training seminar and developed his own plan as the chief of police for Uvalde ISD on how to respond to and what to do if there's a school shooting. And he literally did the opposite of what every officer and every law enforcement person in this country knows. You run to the fire and you shoot and kill those SOBs. He let those kids sit and die for 77 minutes. He is a coward. Don't ever forget this. Chief Arredondo, disgraced former Chief Arredondo, the day he was born, he was a coward. All his life, he knew he was a coward. But one day when he said, I'm going to become a police chief, and I'm going to get all the laudits and plaudits of being a law enforcement guy. People are going to think I'm a hero. But, and it almost never happens with most officers. They almost never see gunfire or anything like what happened that day. But he always knew he was a coward. He just never thought he would be put to the test. And that's why he did nothing, because he's a coward. And when you are the police chief and it's your job and you come up with the plans and you're the first person on there to respond, the first or second within a couple minutes, and you do this and you say there's nobody in command, there's no post, you're a liar and a coward. Do I actually think they're going to get a conviction? Well, they didn't on the first guy, who was another officer that responded, but this is the chief. I pray to God they do, but I fear that they probably will not convict him, but I hope they do. I really do. He should never have a peace officer license, should never be allowed to apply for or receive a job, and he should be put in jail at least for 6 months to a year and have that on his record, a conviction. John Cornyn is once again coming out, and he is attacking people. He said he retweeted this about the mayor of Frisco. Mark Hill won over Rod Vilhauer. Mark Hill, of course, supports Islamic invasion and all that kind of stuff in Frisco. And John Cornyn retweeted this and said that Mark Hill won. He said, voters reject anti-Islam candidate in mayoral race in Dallas suburb. John Cornyn never said this when he was running and wanted our vote. John Cornyn never said anything bad about President Trump. He kissed his butt when he wanted our vote. John Cornyn's a coward, because a coward only says it after it's too late. A leader says it, regardless of the consequences, when everything's on the line. John Cornyn is a coward, and that's why we voted you up by almost 30 points. We always knew who you were, John. Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you in the butt. This show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I will see you tomorrow. Oh, and I'll be on all week, including Tuesday morning, from 9 to noon Eastern and 8 to 11 Central, all week long in Indianapolis on WIBC. All the information's on our my social media feeds, but just Google WIBC and you will be able to see 93.1 WIBC Indianapolis all week. I'll see you on the radio in the morning, actually, in about 6 hours, 7 hours. Woo, I better go to bed.